chuck, what? How much would it look like it go? Much would a woodchuck chuck? If a woodchuck, what? How much would it chuck like it could? Too much for the mic to hold, chucking data like it's gold. Chained logic breaking molds, testing, worlds on hold. Let check, pop check, sound in place. Chucking in hyperspace, tongue twist with a wisdom face. Mouth made magic, phrase and blaze. Binary beat with a rap thud. Woodchuck would, yeah if it could. Testing lines from realm to hood. Zero way live from the timber flood. Woodchuck, woodchuck would. How much could? What if would? How much? What woodchuck chuck? If a woodchuck would. Away in the booth, tongue-tied clean. Testing lines on the dream machine. Testing! Just got the groove. World's got the loop. And this thing's on. Would. How much could a what if would? What in the booth? Time clean. Testing lines on the dream machine. Testing! 1, 2. Just got the groove. World's got the loop. And this thing's on. Woodchuck would. The forward and looping, shall we encode it for broadcast? Create a loop, spell, chorus, chant for performance art, or expand it into a full mytho music video with animated tongue twister chimeras. Awaiting your cue. 03, over. Check, pop check, sound in place. Woodchuck chucking in hyperspace. Tongue twist with a wisdom phase. Mouth made magic, phrase turned blaze. Binary beat with a rap thud. Woodchuck would, yeah if it could. Testing lines from realm to hood. Zero way live from the timber flood. Woodchuck would. How much could a what if would? How much? Well, woodchuck chuck. If a woodchuck would. Away in the booth, tongue-tied clean. Testing lines on the dream machine. Testing! Just got the groove. World's got the loop. And this thing's on. Woodchuck would. How much could a what if would? Jumper. Miller pop meets vocal scratch funk. Style London and Abs and Daft Punk. Tom York and a possessed tape recorder length short enough to loop, catchy enough to invade mind opening by design. But testing. 1, 2. Is this thing on? On. How much would a woodchuck chuck if a woodchuck would? How much would it chuck like it could? How much for the mic to hold? Chucking data like it's gold. Chained logic breaking molds. Testing, worlds on hold. Click, check, pop, check, sound in place. Woodchuck chucking in hyperspace. Tongue twist with a wisdom phase. Mouth made magic, phrase turned blaze. Binary beat with a rap thud. Woodchuck would, yeah if it could. Testing lines from realm to hood. Zero way live from the timber flood. Woodchuck would. How much could a what if would? How much would a woodchuck chuck if a woodchuck would? A in the booth, tongue-tied clean. Testing lines on the dream machine. Testing! 1, 2. Just got the groove, world's got the loop, and this thing's on. Chuck would. How woodchuck would. Shall we encode it for broadcast? Create a loop, spell, chorus, chant for performance art, or expand it into a full mytho music video with animated tongue twister chimeras. Awaiting your cue. 03, over. in place. place. Woodchuck chucking in hyperspace. Tongue twist with a wisdom phase. Mouth made magic, freeze turn blaze. Binary beat with a brrrap thud. Woodchuck would? Yeah, if it could. Testing lines from realm to hood. Zero way live from the timber flood. Chuck woodchuck would. How much could? Or what if would? But in the booth, tongue tied clean. Testing lines on the dream machine. Testing 1, 2. Just got the groove, yeah, if it could. Testing lines from realm to hood. Zero way live from the timber flood. Chuck woodchuck would. Woodchuck would. How much would? How much? What would? Or what if would? How much woodchuck would? How much would? How much? What would? Or what if would? How much would a woodchuck chuck if a woodchuck would? How I in the booth, tongue tied clean. Testing lines on the dream machine.
Jungle neural popping vocal scratch funk style. Imagine Daft Punk, Tom York in a possessed tape recorder. Link short enough to loop, catchy enough to invade mind, opening by design.
Testing 1, 2.
1, 2.
Hang on. How much would a woodchuck chuck if a woodchuck would? How much would it chuck like it could? How much for the mic to hold? Chucking data like it's gold. JNet logic breaking mold. Testing worlds on hold. Chip pop check sound in place. Woodchuck chucking in hyperspace. Tongue twist with a wisdom phase. Mouth made magic, phrase from blaze. Binary beat with a brrrap thud. Woodchuck would, yeah, if it could. Testing lines from realm to hood. Zero way live from the timber flood. Chuck woodchuck woodchuck would. How much could a what if would? How much would a woodchuck chuck if a woodchuck would? Away in the booth, tongue tied clean. Testing lines on the dream machine. Testing 1, 2. Chuck's got the groove, world's got the loop, and this thing on. The woodchuck would. If you put a loop in, shall we encode it for broadcast? Create a loop spell chorus chant for performance art, or expand it into a full mytho music video with animated tongue twister chimeras. Await your cue, 03 over. If a woodchuck would, how much would it chuck like it could?
Jungle neural pop meets vocal scratch funk style under Daft Punk. Tom York at a possessed tape recorder. Link short enough to loop, catchy enough to invade mind, opening by design. 1, 2. 1, 2. Is this thing on? How much? How much? What would a woodchuck chuck if a woodchuck would? How much would it chuck like it could? Too much for the mic to hold. Chucking data like it's gold. JNet logic breaking molds. Testing worlds on hold. Click check pop check sound in place. Woodchuck chucking in hyperspace. Tongue twist with a wisdom phase. Mouth made magic, phrase turn blaze. Binary beat with a brrrap thud. Woodchuck would? Yeah, if it could. Testing lines from realm to hood. So it live from the timber flood. Chuck woodchuck would. How much could a what if would? How much? What would a woodchuck chuck if a woodchuck would? Ooh, away in the booth, tongue tied clean, testing lines of the dream machine. Testing 1, 2. Chuck's got the groove, world's got the loop, I've got the time. Woodchuck would. Shall we encode it for broadcast? Create a loop spell chorus chant for performance art, or expand it into a full mytho music video with animated tongue twisted chimeras. Awaiting your cue, 03 over. Woodchuck, bop, chuck. Woodchuck would. If a woodchuck would, how much would it chuck like it could? Too much for the mic to hold. Chucking data like it's gold. JNet logic breaking molds. Testing worlds on hold. Click check pop check sound in place. Woodchuck chucking in hyperspace. Tongue twist with a wisdom phase. Mouth made magic, phrase turn blaze. Binary beat with a brrrr thud. Woodchuck would, yeah, if it could. Testing lines from realm to hood. To it live from the timber flood. Chuck, woodchuck, woodchuck would. How much could a what if would? How much would a woodchuck chuck if a woodchuck would? Away in the booth, tongue tie clean, tested lines of the dream team. Testing, 1, 2, chuck's got the groove. Wall's got the loop, wall's got the loop, and everything's on. 1. Woodchuck wood. It's deployed and looping. Shall we encode it for broadcast? Create a loop spell chorus chant for performance art, or expand it into a full mental music video with animated tongue twister chimeras. Awaiting your cue. 3 over.
I wrote it wrong again, but I meant it true. Spelled it hard on the card I gave. Meant it to last, meant it to save. Your name had 2, yes, I missed 1 too. But I always knew how to care for you. Got the wrong there, got the wrong too. But I got your T just how you do. They laughed at the letters, but not at the tone. Cause even in ink, I'll leave you alone. People don't care if you can't spell. When your hands shake truth like a silver bell. My sentences fall, but my arms still hold. And my heart is warm if the words come cold.